you. You're on fire this morning. That's awesome. Good stuff. All right, gang. So, I was having a conversation recently with a young individual, and they said something that was very interesting to me. They said that they were very self-centered. And the reason they said that is because, they're struggling, and they're always anxious. They deal with a lot of anxiety, and their comment was that, well, I'm that way just because I am so self-centered, always worried about myself. And I said, it's interesting you say that. I said, I completely disagree, because I know you very well. I see what you do, and you're a very kind person. You're a very caring person. You like to help people. I said, that's not self-centered. That is somebody who is very others focused. I said, I think what your challenge is that you're very self-conscious, and there's a big difference between being self-centered and self-conscious. And gang, the reason I mention that is because, this young individual who is struggling with anxiety and their self-image and self-confidence, I don't think is very unique. I think that most people suffer with that. I think most people, battle that same thing. And I think that, this idea of being, self-centered versus self-conscious is really an important one to talk about. They're not the same thing at all. And the fact is that, you can be both very self-conscious and lack a sense of confidence. You can be very self-centered, and you can have a great deal of confidence. The key, of course, is to be self-aware and not be self-centered, and have the ability to go out and to be successful in life, to contribute. And I look at this individual. It's so interesting. They're so self-conscious, and they have very low self-esteem, despite the fact that they're very accomplished. They in college graduated with over a 3.9 in a very difficult field, very difficult subject. They do exceptionally well at their job, and they carry themselves very well. When you meet them, you would have no idea that this person is behind their eyes, in their brain, freaking out, constantly anxious. And I firmly believe that it has so much to do with this individual being so self-conscious and worried about what others think. And really, ultimately, I guess my point is being self-focused. Being self-conscious is being self-focused. In other words, not really being others focused. And so that's the first thing I want to talk about. If you're taking notes, write that down. One of the things that we need to do to be more confident, to be less anxious, is to be focused on others. I would say it's the number one thing. Those people who are self-focused get in their own head, and their number one worry, concern is themselves. Well, I want you to think about this. What is the number one definition of a superhero? I want you to just think about this. Think about Batman or Superman or Spider-Man or Wonder Woman, Captain America, Iron Man, any of those superheroes. What's the one thing, setting aside all their personality traits, in terms of their conduct, what do they have in common? Anyone? Is there anyone listening?
They serve other people.
They serve other people. That is the answer, Brandon. They serve other people. In other words, they're other focused. And here's the thing. Does Batman have challenges? Anybody know Batman's story? He's my favorite superhero. Does Batman have challenges?
Yes,
anybody
he does.
knows? Yeah, he does. He was orphaned at a very young age. His parents were killed in an automobile accident. Does Superman have challenges?
Yep.
Yeah, if you look at it, I don't care which superhero you look at, they all have challenges, and most of them massive challenges. And yet, those aren't the stories. The vast majority of the stories that you watch, these movies or these comic strips that you read, it's not so much about their personal challenges as it is their challenge and their focus on other people. Again, if you want to become a superhero, so to speak, in the business of real estate or in life, you have to focus on others. See, when Batman focuses on others, or when Wonder Woman focuses on other people, they have the confidence to come in and save the day. That's what allows them ultimately to come in and to be that super person, that amazing person, is because they get out of their own head, they get away from their own problems, and they focus on the problems of other people. See, self-conscious people focus on themselves. Confident people focus on others. And as a result, they end up being very confident people, very successful people, very accomplished people. So just point number one, I just want to challenge you. I want you to ask yourself, am I self-focused or am I others-focused? One of the easiest things that we can do to shift our level of self-confidence in an upward trajectory, to eliminate anxiety, is to focus on others, to forget our own challenges and to focus on others. And here's the thing, you know this, you've all experienced it. I know you have. That when at times where you have felt down and you've taken action and you've gone out and served someone, you've done something for some other person and made a difference in their lives, how do you feel about yourself? Somebody other than Brandon, how do you feel about yourself? Not that I don't like hearing your voice, Brandon. You're always coming up with the right answers. Is there anyone else listening? Take your mute off or put something in the chat line. You're going to make me forget the question, gang. Well, Brandon,
amazing.
Like, what's that? Say it again.
Amazing.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, I mean, use whatever words you want to, right? But it allows them to be amazing, to be energetic, to be positive, to be confident, to be exceptional, all of those things. Okay, we have the ability to do that, but we have to stop focusing on our own challenges. Everybody has challenges. You know, if we were all to throw our a list of problems into the, help's another great word. If we were to put all of our challenges on a piece of paper and throw those challenges into the hat, I guarantee you, gang, somebody would have greater challenges than you in that hat. We all have challenges. It's not a question of whether we have challenges. The question is, what are we going to do to get through our days? Are we going to survive or are we going to thrive? And I'm just here to say, from my own personal experiences where I have done both, focused on myself and my own problems, and then gotten out of my head and started focusing on others, it is a much better experience. It's a much better life when I focus on others. So that would be the first thing in terms of how to be more confident, how to be less anxious. The second thing I would say is this, is surround yourself, and write this down, surround yourself with people whose eyes literally light up when they see you. And that when you see them, your eyes light up. Surround yourself with people whose eyes light up when they see you, that they genuinely want to be around you, that you make a difference in their life, that they like you and they like being around you. You know, so many people in the business of real estate, and I think it's, you know, it's human nature. They're the lone wolf. They got it all figured out. It's like they're not coachable at all. It's just like they have all the answers. And whether they do or not, they believe it or they pretend that they've got all the answers. So they're that lone wolf. They got it all figured out and they're going to do it all on their own. It's so interesting, the number of agents over the years that I've watched who have that mentality. And they go the way of the dodo bird. They go the way of the true lone wolf. Gang, I want you to think about this. Do wolves travel alone or do they travel in packs?
Packs.
Yeah, packs. And the question is why? Well, the answer is for survivability. It ensures that they will survive, that they'll make it through the day, through the week, through the months, through the years. See, wolves cannot survive on their own. It's out in the wild. It's just not possible. You know, wolves will travel up to 30 miles a day in their territory, looking for prey, looking for food, looking simply to survive. 30 to 40 miles per day, traveling over 4,500 miles annually. They could never do that on their own. So therefore they travel in a pack. In the pack, you know, they have rules, they have ways that they do it. It's so interesting. I don't know if you know this. Wolves don't travel scattered or in some sort of like V formation the way geese do. Wolves travel single file, one behind the other, with the alpha male in the front and the weak in the middle and the strong in the back. And there's a reason for that. They travel single file because oftentimes they're in areas where there's a lot of snow, and it wouldn't make any sense for each one to trudge through and create their own path. So the strongest leads, forging the path, and then by the time the weak and the center get to it, it's already beaten down, it's already forged. It's easier for them to get through it. So they travel single file with the alpha male in the beginning. And what's interesting is that the alpha male is oftentimes not the strongest. They're just the most experienced, with the old in the middle. Let me ask you a question. You have that alpha male who is the leader, who is oftentimes not the strongest, but the wisest, certainly has the ability to survive and show others how to survive. But let me ask you a question. Do you think that the alpha male ever travels on its own? Do they travel solo?
No.
That's the answer. They don't. Because an alpha male would never become an alpha male traveling on its own, because it wouldn't survive. It would never get the experience to become that wise leader that gives them the ability to lead others, including the weak, to that promised land, to the safe zone, to the next meal. Even the greatest don't travel alone. You know, nobody gets to the top of a mountain, including a wolf, alone. They surround themselves with others and they work together. Gang, look, you got to get involved. You know, I don't know to what extent you're involved. You're certainly on this call, which is great. And I applaud you for that and congratulate you for that. But are you truly engaged in what we offer as a company? Do you participate consistently in morning ascent, in role plays in your office? Do you participate consistently in base camps? Do you participate in the summits? Do you find yourself participating in all of the things that you can plug into peak training, everything that it is that we do? Really, ultimately, that formation, like that wolf pack, I gave you all those rules, the way in which they travel. Are you plugging in and following the system like the wolves do? Are you following our system that give you the best chance of not only surviving, but thriving? Okay, if you want to survive and thrive, you got to follow the system. If you want to be more confident, you want to be less anxious, you got to follow the system. You know, a wolf on its own, it's going to be scared, it's going to be afraid, it's going to be anxious. But those that plug into the system, into the synergy of the pack, those are the ones who survive and who thrive. The third thing that I would say is really important in terms of developing that sense of confidence and overcoming anxiety is stop being realistic and start looking at what's possible. Start looking at what's realistic and not, at what's possible, not what's realistic. Hey, let me ask you a question. Do you think that the average person tends to be more realistic or tends to look at possibilities? That was not a rhetorical question. Are average people more realistic or do they look more at possibilities?
Realistic.
Realistic.
Yeah, it's realistic. Here's what I want you to think about. Average people are realistic. Average people do not contribute to innovation or significant change. They don't contribute to significant leaps forward or progression. They look at what exists and say, basically, that's all that's possible. You know, the true innovators are those who don't think in realistic terms, but think in possibilities. Elon Musk is a great example of that. I mean, you take a look at this guy, he's like off the charts, a person who thinks not in terms of what's realistic, but in terms of what's possible. I want you to think about this. I don't remember how long ago he started SpaceX or Tesla. I believe he started SpaceX first, and then a couple years later started Tesla. but it's been, I don't know, 15 years or so, something like that. One of you may know. But he started a rocket company with the idea that he was designing a rocket for the purpose of what? Just getting out of Earth's orbit and orbiting the Earth, or getting out into outer space and taking a short trip and landing back on Earth. No, Elon Musk has this goal of getting to Mars, of taking people to Mars and colonizing. That's his goal. Now, is that realistic? And the answer, of course, is no, it's not at all. I mean, the last time that we truly put a person in space and on another rock wasn't a planet, it was the moon, right? But the last time we did that was 53 years ago coming up. And here's this guy comes along and says, I'm going to put, a city on a planet. Talk about audacity. So he starts this rocket company, then he starts a car company, not just a car company, any car company. I mean, name the last time that any significant car company was created in the last 50 years. There isn't one. And yet Elon Musk did it. And not only did he create a car company, but he had the audacity to create an electric car company. Now, for years, the GMs and the Fords and Chryslers, all of those companies worked on electric technology and did not accomplish what Elon Musk accomplished. And I firmly believe because he did that because Elon Musk didn't operate within the confines of what was realistic, which already existed. See, he wasn't limited by what the car companies already knew, right? What they knew, right? What their experience taught them, what was realistic, what was possible, and what wasn't possible, right? Because what they thought was possible was seen through the lens of what was realistic. Elon Musk didn't have those tethers, didn't have those rules, those confinements. So as a result, this young man creates an electric car company that sells, I don't know, 800,000, something like that, electric cars annually. It's made him the richest person in the world, gang. Think about that. Because Elon Musk stopped or never thought about what was realistic, but just simply looked at what was possible and then focused on that. Just want you to think about that. So my question for you is, how do you think? Do you think about what's realistic or do you think about what's possible? How are you thinking every day? Are you looking at what's going on in this marketplace, what's going on in the world? And are you afraid? Are you anxious? Or are you looking at what's possible despite those things? Just a thought. The last thing that I want to cover with you is this. I think it's really important to build self-confidence and to control anxiety, to not live in fear. It's to anchor to positive experiences. Anchor to positive experiences. Have you ever heard a song, for example, or smelled a particular scent, and it took you back immediately to some distant time in the past? Have you ever had that experience?
All the time.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
This morning.
This morning, there you go. Well, and it happened to me this morning. Remember, Russ was playing that song from Hall & Oates, You Make My Dreams Come True. And it took me back immediately to when I was a kid in the early 1980s. I mean, bam, I was right there. It's called anchoring. Okay. We all anchor. The challenge is the average person anchors to negative emotions. The exceptional person, the successful person, the superhero anchors to positive emotions. It's what gives them the strength to endure, to persist, even when things aren't going right. See, most people are great at anchoring. They're just predominantly great at anchoring to negative things. So anchor to your victories. I'll give you a great example. This was, I think, about 2015. And I had an opportunity to speak to a group of brokers, owners in the real estate realm. And these were the best of the best. Brokers, owners who have companies of hundreds of agents selling tens of thousands of homes in the aggregate. I mean, a highly productive group of professionals who've been in the business, many of them 30, 40 years. And I had the opportunity to speak to them for an hour. When I spoke to them at the end, what was interesting is I noticed some people starting to get up, and I thought, well, that's weird. They're getting up and there's not a lot of applause. And I thought, well, apparently I didn't do very well. And then the whole group got up and started to applaud. And what I realized, I came to the realization, was that they were giving me a standing ovation. I thought, holy crap, my first standing ovation. And this was at the Hotel del Coronado on Coronado Island. And it was 2015. And I had the presence of mind after that that standing ovation with literally as soon as it was done, and I got done having the conversations with people who came up and congratulated me, thanked me for the time, asked me questions. When all of that settled down, I immediately went to my 3x5 cards. I keep a stack of 3x5 cards with me, and I began to write down my description of that moment, getting really detailed about what happened and how I felt about it, what emotions I was experiencing at that time. Now, why did I do that? The reason I did that is because I wanted to anchor myself to those positive emotions, to what I felt when those people, when that audience stood up and gave me a standing ovation. Because what I wanted to do was to, in the future, to be able to recall that moment when I needed it, when things were difficult, when I felt anxious, when I didn't feel capable, to immediately anchor to that memory so that I could recall those emotions and feel that way again in that moment. It's no different than when you hear that song or you smell that scent, right? Or you see whatever it is, a picture, whatever that sensory stimuli is, that immediately takes you back to that emotion. I think it's one of the most important things that we can do to become a confident person, a person who's not anxious, but one who is confident despite the challenges, can maintain more often than not that sense of positivity, of confidence, and the ability to, regardless of what's happening, to maintain course, to stay focused, and to do the mundane, tedious work. For example, in real estate. Gang, there is not a line or people who will queue up to watch you do your mundane, tedious things in real estate, and to stand there behind you and encourage you and say, you got this, this is amazing, and you're amazing, and you're going to do amazing things. It doesn't work that way. You got to be your own audience. You got to be your own encourager in chief. And one of the best ways to do that is to anchor to your victories in the past. One of the most important things. Most people will anchor to all of their defeats and all their negative emotions. And then as a result, like that young man that I talked about in the beginning, they're anxious, they're self-conscious. And as a result, they lack confidence. And therefore, whatever results that they get are far less than what they could get because they don't ultimately believe in themselves. Because they're self-conscious, they're self-focused. So gang, look, there is nothing to lose in this life. I just want you to think about that. Your first response to that might be say, well, that's not true. I just want you to think about that. There is nothing to lose in this life because you came into this life with zero cost. It didn't cost you anything to come into this life. You paid nothing for it. Whatever happens to you that is good or bad is a profit to you because it's an experience. You can't take anything with you when you leave this planet except for your experiences. So all you have is the profound, intense, and beautiful experiences that you have. Yes? Yes or yes? That's all you get to take with you. So stop acting like you're a victim or that somehow you're going to behave in ways that are going to get you through this unscathed. You're not. So face your fears. Face your fears. Do the things that you're afraid of because it's only in doing those things that you will become extraordinary, that you'll become exceptional. See, average people avoid their fears. Exceptional people, they face their fears. Stop acting like you're a victim or that you're owed something, because you're not. But what I know is that you're amazing and you're beautiful, and you have been since the beginning. And if you'll recognize that and free your mind from focusing on yourself and start focusing on others, and you'll surround yourself with people whose lives are better because you're in their life, and yours is better because they're in yours. And if you will ultimately, if you'll stop, and this is so important, if you will stop being realistic and start focusing on the possibilities and then anchoring to your past victories, gang, you will be a person of confidence, of great certainty, and you'll accomplish anything that you want. So it's been a pleasure talking with you. It's been a while. I've enjoyed it. It's good to see you participating. And